Hello, I hope you guys are doing great. I know I told you I would be on here at 11 and I did pretty good to get on here. My day went better, or not better, but it went fine, kind of as I expected. The morning to go, so that is good. We will be on here back tomorrow at 11 as well because this worked nicely today. But I just wanted to check in. I have heard from a lot of you who chose things to do. Yesterday you decided on some things, and today you are doing those things, and that is a great step. Today we're going to talk a little bit about behavior and habits. And if you are a client of mine or a past client of mine, you're going to recognize a lot of this stuff. But it's kind of out of order, and it's out of order on purpose because I want to cover the really important things, and then I want to give you time to practice those. So we're kind of skipping around a little bit, but I promise it'll all kind of come together at the end. But yesterday we talked about choosing one thing that you have been, I kind of want to put this over here so I'm not actually looking at you, but I can still see notes in case I get lost and I don't ramble. So I wanted you yesterday to choose one thing that you've been putting off, and then what did we do? We decided we were going to tackle it, or at least a piece of it today. So we practiced deciding yesterday. That was our practice. And the important thing that I want you to know and recognize, because a lot of mindset comes with being aware, recognizing all the things. The important thing that I want you to know is that everything you see now in your life, everything you have now, is a reflection of the complete sum of all of your choices and the things that you have decided up until this point. So everything in your life is a reflection of what you have decided thus far. Once you decide on something, then you actually have to create action, which is what I asked you to do today. Yesterday, when you decided, I asked you to decide something that you were going to action today that you've been putting off, that you know you need to do, that you know will be good for you, like drinking more water or eating more vegetables or going for a walk. Once you've decided and you start to create those actions, if you create those actions often enough, they become habits. And those habits are the things that either keep you stuck or move you forward. The habits that you pick every day actually they actually create the results that you are getting. So having a glass of wine every day after work, always choosing to have dessert, hitting snooze on a regular basis, going for a walk regularly, all of those things affect your current state where you are now. And when we look at our results, we look at our current lives, where we are right now, today, our health, our body, the car we drive, the job we have, whether we save money or whether we spend it. All of those things are a reflection of our current belief system, and they stem from our habits and our choices. So we have to, how do we create results? How do we create different results if we're not excited about where we are right now? We want to do something different. We want something to change. How do we do that? Well, you did it yesterday. First step is decide. You got to decide. You can't just be like, maybe I will. Nah. I'll give it a shot. No, we don't give it a shot. We do it. We do it if it rains. We do it if it shines. We do it. So you decide that you're going to do it. Since you did that yesterday, we're going to move forward. I did mention this yesterday. So when you decide to actually act. It can be painful, but it will be uncomfortable. I told you this yesterday. There will be things when you decide that you're going to take your life by the collar and you're going to live it and you're going to use determination, and you know you're doing it right. You know you are doing something good. You are going to discover things about yourself that you never knew, or things about yourself that you had forgotten. Things that you've forgotten that you have, things that you've forgotten that you did, things that you've forgotten or had no idea. Oh my gosh, that was inside. Wow. Some of them are going to be like things that propel you forward, and some of them are going to be things that you're going to have to work through and kind of let go. Work through forgiveness, let it go, and move forward so that you can decide to make different choices. Okay? So just know that there's going to be stuff that comes up, and that's okay. It's okay. I promise. We often pick up our inability. So today we're talking about action, but we often don't act. That's why yesterday I asked you to choose something that you've been putting off that you need to do. And we often pick up our inability to act from people that we love. It is so true. We live with ideas and thoughts and patterns that we have been taught over time by the people that are around us. He's fine. By our families, by our siblings, by our friends, by the group of coworkers that we're at. We pick up those things and the life patterns from people. We often want to honor the people we love by being like them. That is how my kids do it. They try to honor me by doing the things that I do. Sage woke up at 4:30 in the morning on Friday, and she wanted to go to the gym with me. And I was like, no, it's too early. Like, I got to go at 5. It's too early for you. She's like, Mama, I really want to go. And she started to cry. And I was like, you're too tired. You're already crying. She's like, no, Mama, I want to go that bad. Dang it, I took her to the gym. She did burpees with me and slam balls. We walked on the treadmill. We had the best time. And afterwards, she says, Mom, that meant so much to me because I know how much you enjoy it. Thank you for sharing it with me. And so she was honoring me by wanting to do something that I do. So think about some of the things, the habits, the actions, or the inaction that you take, and you might be able to track it down to where it comes from. Often when we have an inability to act, it will stem from having a lack of courage. And that lack of courage could also be something that was, given to you by a friend or a loved one. And if you come from a line of friends, family that needs a crisis before action, then you might be one of those people that needs a crisis before action. But it doesn't mean you have to always be that way. It just means you need to recognize it so that you can get it before crisis. I have clients that reach out to me on a regular basis, and some of those people are like, hey, last year during the shutdown, I gained like 15 pounds and I don't like where this is going and it's becoming painful for me and all these things. And now I've got some fears of things that are coming up in my health. I'm getting older. I'm going to go through menopause. Like, I got to get this under control now. And then I have people who reach out to me and they're like, I started insulin shots today and I'm diabetic and they told me I could possibly lose my legs. And they told me I'm, basically digging a grave with my teeth. I got to get this under control. So some people have to hit rock bottom before they want change. But my intention for you is for you to become so aware of yourself and the things that are going on in your life and the habits that you have and the decisions that you're making and the actions that are giving you those consequences, so that you can stop it before it gets to crisis. You can catch it early. We're going to get to all the like warning signals and stuff, but my hope for you is that you don't get to that point. And if you're already at that point of crisis, because some of you are, then you're able to get out of that crisis quickly. You're able to start because, yeah, your fear is pushing you toward your changes, but we can get you, going in a different direction. If you are still here on this earth, breathing air, there is hope. You are not a lost cause. You can do it. You must. So that's a little pep talk for you. We'll come back to some of that. But I want to talk to you about what is called the behavior chain. And there's lots of parts to it, so I'm going to keep it pretty simple today, and we're going to come back to some of the other parts and kind of expand on them, but I want to give you kind of an overview of the behavior chain. And the reason I want to do that is because we think of these things, of these either habits that we don't have that we want, or habits. So we want to pick up new good habits, or we want to get rid of old unfavorable habits, okay? And when we think of an unfavorable habit, we think of things that we wish we didn't do. A lot of people over the last several years have quit smoking. They didn't want to do that anymore, right? But when we repeat a habit over and over and over again, it seems like it just happens unconsciously. But the truth is, there is a lot of psychology that goes into that, and we don't just forget to go to the gym. We don't, we pay for a gym membership. We don't just forget to go on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We choose not to, even though it feels like we didn't really choose. So I want you to get in a habit of making those decisions. There is a conscious process, even if you're not aware of it, there is a conscious process that controls every action that you take. And that is what is called the behavior chain. So if you want to undo some of your programmed thinking, then you have to learn to question some of your thoughts, your beliefs. You have to question, and ultimately, you have to question basically everything that you think, and ultimately create better outcomes for yourself. So our thoughts control our emotions. Our emotions control our actions. Our actions determine the results that we're getting. And so everything that you think, all of your thoughts, those are actually a choice. So meaning that you give a choice, or you have a choice in everything, right? Our thoughts truly are, this is why we call it mindset. Our thoughts are so important. They ultimately add up to everything that we are experiencing in life, now and in the future. So how you think right now is going to affect you tomorrow. Everything you experience is actually going to fall into 5 categories. And you might want to get some pencil and paper. It's going to fall into a circumstance. Circumstances are things that are outside in the world that are out of your control. Anything that's out of your control, it's a circumstance. Also, you could call these triggers. A circumstance also is other people, because we cannot control them, okay? The one super cool thing about being a human and sets us apart from all the other things is we get to choose. We get to decide. Reptiles don't get to decide. Mammals don't get to decide. They don't get to choose. We get to choose, like everything. So it sets us apart. Circumstances are anything outside of us that we cannot control, that just kind of is going to happen, right? And that includes other people. and their actions. And we can't control that, right? No matter how hard I try. Then after circumstances, we have thoughts. And thoughts are the sentences that we actually play in our mind. They are the things that we are thinking. Feelings are usually just one word that describes how a thought makes you feel. I'm thinking this. Now I feel sad. All right? So you have circumstances, you have thoughts, you have feelings. Then you have actions, the things that you either do or you don't do. And then you have your results or your consequences. Our results, our consequences are the things, the outcomes from the actions that we're taking. So those can be good or they can be not good. They can be favorable or unfavorable, okay? So literally everything in your world falls into one of those 5 categories. So I want you to write down the 5 categories: circumstances, thoughts, feelings, actions, and results. And this is, you're going to have an exercise today to do this. But let me give you an example. On Wednesday nights, I like to go to yoga class. I started doing it at the beginning of the year. Absolutely love the class. It feels good to me. It's something my body is craving. It is helping me with mobility and all the things. It is just wonderful. It's relaxing. There is like an hour and 15 minutes that my phone is not on. There's not a child pulling on me. There is no way to reach me for an hour and 15 minutes on Wednesday nights. My soul needs it. It is so good. So on Wednesday, this past Wednesday, I cooked dinner. It's an evening class. So I cook dinner. I leave the kids with Seth. And as I go out the door, he says, "Is there anything that we can do while you're gone?" And I said, "I've actually already discussed this with the kids. They need to do 1, 2, 3 things before I get home. And hopefully when I get home, because I get home after 9, hopefully they're in bed." And it was wonderful. And I come home and I'm like so happy and like kind of just relaxed, and I feel so good. I go and I shower, we go to bed, everything's good. Well, I wake up the next morning and that's when I'm back to reality. And I realized that those things that I asked to be done didn't get done. Now, what did get done was they had a family movie night and they did some sweet bonding, and that's fine. But the fact that those things didn't get done on Wednesday night really started to affect my Thursday morning, because my thoughts were, why did you ask what you needed to do if you weren't going to do it? So that thought made me frustrated. And then my thoughts continued until I was like on the verge of anger. I was pretty annoyed. And the kids were not awake yet. Thankfully, it was 7 o'clock in the morning. And I was looking at a kitchen with a mess that I didn't have time to clean up before the day started. And I like a clean kitchen when I go to bed, so that when I wake up, we can do the things for life today. We're not taking care of yesterday's stuff. We're taking care of today's stuff. So anyway, I love Seth so much. He's wonderful. And my kids are too. But these are my thoughts, right? Well, nobody did the things that I needed them to do. So now I am mad and my feelings are hurt. And when the kids wake up, I'm going to take it out on them. I realized that, like, my thoughts. So I stop and I was like, because I'm like, if I keep going down this path, what's going to happen? This is my internal dialogue. If I keep going down this path, what's going to happen? I'm going to have a terrible day. I've already had a rough morning now. Looking at this, this is starting to affect my day. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. Is my whole day going to be like this? Am I going to be a disaster by tonight because I'm holding all this inside, or am I going to deal with it? And so I decided to sit down and deal with it. And I decided to write down what my thoughts were. And I was like, okay, You asked me what to do, and then you didn't do it. So I changed my thought. They must have done something else that was really wonderful, because they love me and they would have done it. And so then I think, well, they know how important it is to me to wake up to a nice clean kitchen and not have to take care of everything from yesterday. So I really feel disrespected. And then I was like, no, how can I flip that? How can I make that thought different? And so then I decided that actually I am respected, because they did do this and this and this. They weren't the things I asked, but they did do these things that they know are important to me also. So basically, I turned my whole day around. I did end up calling and saying that I needed to have a conversation with Seth about this, because it was bothering me and I didn't want it to continue. And he chatted with me about it, and we figured it out. And it was exactly the opposite of my initial thought. It was my second thought. It was there was this new movie that we really wanted to watch. We cuddled up on the couch and we relaxed, and that's what we did. And then I forgot. Like, we just didn't do it. But the other things that were important to me, they did do. They brushed their teeth. They were in bed on time. All those things. So basically, I was able to change, and truly something that would have derailed a whole day for me, because I considered leaving those dishes, leaving the food from the night before, leaving all of it, leaving the toys that were on the floor, and just letting it pile up even more throughout the day, and just being like, this is yesterday's and today's. I considered like being kind of vindictive like that, but that's not me. But those thoughts did go through my head, so I had to stop them. And I had to be like, no, let's look over here and let's take care of this. Let's go ahead and put these dishes in the dishwasher. If the kids happen to wake up, they can help. But let's not put this off till later. Let's just go ahead and take the action, get it out of the head, go ahead and clear the brain, say the things that you need to say, and move on. Like, let's have a good day. So that, kids don't have to miss swimming at the pool because they didn't help put their dishes in the dishwasher the night before, Okay, so that was it was definitely not a health and fitness one, but it was a mindset change that I had to make. So I want you today to think about and you might have to start in the middle and work backwards. So maybe you're feeling something and you don't know why you feel it. So you want to work backwards. Well, what am I thinking about this? Oh, I'm thinking this sounds like a terrible idea. So what is the terrible idea? What's the circumstance that's causing that thought? All right. And then change that, or change your thought about it. You can't change the circumstance. The only thing you can change is your thought. And once you change your thought, you will feel differently. And once you feel differently, you will act differently. And once you act differently, the results will be different. So, some things that you can think about. For example, maybe you are sad. Sad would go into your feeling category. And what is causing you to feel sad? These are some questions you can ask yourself. What's causing you to feel sad? How do you act since you're feeling sad? What is actually happening? You've got to become aware of all these things before you can change them. And then once you know how you act when you're sad, you can be like, well, what's the outcome if I do act? What happens if I do this? Or what happens if I don't do this when I'm sad? And then you can go back and figure out what is the circumstance that is beyond your control that is causing you to feel sad. All right? So this goes in all that. You can say, what is the new thought that I am going to choose? How am I going to choose to look at this circumstance differently? How can I reframe it so that I don't feel sad? All right. The circumstances are neutral. They happen. We can't control them. They're not good or bad until we think that they are good or bad. A circumstance doesn't dictate how we feel. Our thoughts do. So that's the really important thing to remember. So what I need you to do is get in touch with your thoughts. Today you chose to do something, take action on something that you know you have needed to do. I know one person needs to really organize an area in their home so that they don't feel so cluttered and shut in. I know another person needs to drink more water. I know another person that needs to eat more food because they're barely eating. And I want you to think about the action that you have been taking. The action that you have been taking. You've been putting off the declutter. You've been not drinking enough water. What is the action that you've been taking? And then I want you to work backwards and find out. And you might be able to work forward. You might know. But this is going to be a key in setting new habits. When we become aware of how we're feeling and get back to those root thoughts and start to change them. Well, why don't you drink enough water? Well, I don't drink enough water because I like to drink out of a straw and there's not a cup with a straw at work. Well, then let's get you a cup with a straw to take to work. I don't like cold water. I want to drink lukewarm water. I want to drink water that is room temperature. That is true. I do. I do not like cold water. Okay. So we won't put your water in the fridge and I'll not put ice in it. What are the circumstances and the things that are causing you these problems? I do want to make sure that you know writing them down is powerful because once you write it down and you look at it, you're like, this thing doesn't have any power over me. I can totally do this. I can conquer this. I can change this. Like once you like actually get it out, write it down and look at it, you're like, it's no big deal. I can do it. And it will, writing it on paper or emailing it to yourself or whatever, will help uncover so much of what you're actually feeling. And that's how you're acting and ultimately the outcome that you get. The goal is not to remove all negative thoughts. So I just want you to know that. It's not like you can't live life and never think negatively. But we want to allow anything and everything that does come up, we want to observe those thoughts. We want to acknowledge them. We want to be able to feel the emotion that we feel, and we want to be able to release it while choosing something more helpful to our goals. So part of emotions or negative outcomes come from negative emotions. So if we can dramatically decrease those negative emotions and reframe our thoughts, then we can change and still feel the emotion, but we can change the thought and move forward, if that makes sense. So you almost become like a watcher of your own thoughts, and that's when you gain power over the habits that you want to change. So do not be fooled by believing every thought that pops into your head, or a thought that maybe you've been told, well, this equals this, and it's always that way. But it might not be if you actually think about it. Is there a way to think of it differently? So curiously question your thoughts when they come up and choose the ones that will serve you. For instance, we're going to talk about this a little bit more later in the week, but one thing that I hear a lot is self-sabotage. I'm trying to eat better and I self-sabotage every time. I do great on Monday, Tuesday. Somebody asks me to go to dinner on Wednesday and I sit down and I have dessert. And so now that I've had dessert, I feel like I might as well go, well, now I might as well have a drink. And then I had a drink, and so I'm like, I might as well stay up all night. And so then I stay up all night, and so then I'm tired for work, and I've, missed my workout, and I've had dessert and a drink last night. So today's shot, because I already am tired and bloated from the ice cream that I had for dessert last night. So now Thursday's going to be terrible because I didn't work out, so the day's already shot, and now I'm going to eat 8 spoons of peanut butter every time I go to the pantry. I'm speaking from experience. 8 spoons of peanut butter every time I go to the pantry because that's going to make me feel better. Well, why do you feel bad, Rebecca? Oh, it started with that dessert. Well, that dessert didn't do anything to harm you. That dessert is just a dessert and it's there. No, it tasted pretty good. I wanted it. Okay. You wanted the dessert. Was it worth it? Yeah, made me feel good at the time. I liked it. Okay. So why the self-sabotage? Well, then I realized that somebody a long time ago told me that dessert was bad. Oh. Somebody a long time ago told me that dessert was bad. Well, that made me think that I had already messed up so much that I can't recover the day. I can't recover tomorrow. Oh, okay. Well, then how can we think about that differently? Well, that dessert wasn't bad. I was enjoying it and I really wanted it, and I haven't had dessert in a very long time. Makes me feel better. Now I feel satisfaction because I had dessert and I haven't had it in a long time. Had I changed that earlier, I would have been able to stop and not sabotage the rest of the night and the following day because I was able to stop. I can catch it. And that's what I do. And there is not ever a time that I walk by a break room or a party and I look at the dessert and don't decide. Am I going to have some? Do I want some? Am I not? Past the dessert is bad. I can have it sometimes. I can have it when I want it, and if it's a warm, hot brownie, most likely I'm going to say yes. But if it's a cold Oreo, forget it. I'm not going to have that. You'll be able to be so aware of your thoughts and your feelings, and you'll be able to notice your actions, and you'll be able to change them if you start thinking this way. So I want you to choose something today that is either going wrong or has gone wrong or you think might go wrong later, and I want you to go ahead and change your thought about it. Something that you feel like the day's already ruined. I want to know what your thought is. I want to know how you feel about it. I want to know I want to know the actions that you're taking, and then I want to know the results that you're getting, and then I want you to go back and I want you to change it. You can continue to have that same crappy day because you're still thinking about that, or you can change your thought, feel differently, and then you start acting differently. And I want you to do that today because there's always something. There is not a day that goes by that there's not something, I promise you. So you get lots of practice with this, and I want you to start practicing it today. And so tomorrow and this afternoon, if you'd like, you can post it. If you want to be like, hey, here's my circumstance, this is my thought, this is my feeling, this is my action, this is my result, and this is how I changed it. I would love for people to share that in the group. And it can be really hard when you become emotionally attached to certain thoughts. So I want you to keep that in mind. And there might be some that you don't want to share. But if you do, or if there's one that's really bothering you, I guarantee there's somebody else that is having the same one. So it would be helpful if one of you was courageous enough to share it. So it's kind of like giving yourself that reality check. When a negative thought comes up, replace it with one that's more useful. And I'm not telling you to lie to yourself. I mean, I'm not telling you to say, you know, I've got $1 million in the bank to feel better about bouncing a check. That doesn't work. All right. You've got to be honest in your thoughts, and then it becomes more authentic. And I want to give you some thoughts or some questions to think about as well. Can be used for two things. It can be used for anxiety or creativity. You are either worrying about something, which creates anxiety, or you are creating something useful with your brain. Always. And if you keep yourself aligned to the goals that you have, which we're going to set tomorrow, by the way, creation is going to follow. So I want you to go ahead and start thinking about the current goal that you are working on or that you want to start working on. And I want you to go ahead and kind of write it down. And by kind of write it down, I mean, you can maybe have a few that you're still trying to decide. Just get some ideas of what your goal is going to be, or maybe you already know what it is. And then we're gonna talk about goals tomorrow. This training, I said I was gonna try to keep them 15 minutes. I don't know how long this one is, but I feel like it was like 30. So I hope this resonated with you. Please let me know if there is anything that made sense to you or did not make sense to you. Basically, just to recap, I should have done this at the beginning. Steps for you to manage your thoughts and ultimately your happiness and success in life. And those are: become aware of what you're actually thinking. Become aware of it. Be open to feel any feeling, good or bad, because the more you resist your feelings, the more they persist. I promise you that. And be the watcher of your feelings and stop reacting to them. And if you're willing to feel everything, you're willing to feel your feelings, even the bad ones, then they're no longer a big deal, right? So when you use these tools, the behavior chain, and you're able to kind of look at each part of it, you're going to be able to create those different results, like I said. And I tell you this because mindset is not like just this fancy buzzword that people are using. It is a real thing that changes lives. And in order to tackle it, you have to become aware of your thoughts. That is all.